Hi and welcome to Friday's live trading. Okay, so we're sitting in, it's 8:20 in the morning. I've been sitting here waiting to get in a trade this morning. It flew off really quickly pre 8 o'clock, and it's pretty much, this is the euro dollar I'm looking at here, pretty much gone at this stage. It's got itself a little bit oversold in some signals, but if I come back to that 30-minute chart, actually, it's just flicked on just then. You can see it's streaming here. The chances are, if it does pull back, it will come back again. We'll see how it shapes up there. So I'm looking for the short side here still, but to my preference really still is on cable. It's a similar picture. It's possibly finding a bit of support where it's sitting at the moment. It's come short, just short of the target I was looking at, that S1 already, but we're seeing bounces here at the moment. Now, a bounce with it being oversold, I'm expecting it to retrace here anyway, so I certainly don't want to be selling it quite yet. But I am looking at the short side here on a retracement. I prefer to be running with the trend. We'll see how it shapes up. We've seen this a lot this week. It's been selling off pretty quickly. Hasn't always continued, but that's markets for you. But we'll see what it does this morning. I'm waiting for a bit more of a retracement to trade it back. It's not very far now towards that, so I need it to pull back a bit more anyway. I would like it to. It's got an untouched 8 o'clock pivot. These do have a reasonable probability of being hit, so I will watch this, and that may shape up when I actually enter this price level. As I say, it's got oversold. I'm not seeing quite an extreme here on this 30-minute time frame here, so that's not suggesting it will have necessarily the same sort of bounce down, but or move back down even. But sitting waiting at this stage. Okay, so we just sold the pound, just reacting off its 521 here, looking to trade this back towards the S1 here. Now, you may want to break up a little bit further. Stop wise, it needs to be around about 15 pips from price action. So looking at the stop around about maybe a little bit more. It may pull back up. I'm just looking whether to place the stop a bit meaner. It may pull up back to this 8 o'clock pivot, so it actually needs to be about 18 pips away. 15 would be too close here. So just to confirm, have shorted just below this 5-minute 8 here, but it's breaking up at the moment. Stop is at 38, which is just up above there. Target's only down to the S1 here, so we'll see how this rolls. It may be that get a bit of upper time frame resistance coming through here. Just looking through what else we got there, not a great deal else. The 15-minute 21 is sitting there at 36. But looking, as I say, looking back to that daily S1 sort of area, we have probably found a bit of support around that prior low there from yesterday morning. On the bigger picture, as we look away from this, it has earlier today it broke that downward trend in this bear flag arguably, but looking to see, as I say, roll over. If it could, I mean, it could roll over a little bit further towards the 4-hourly 200 would be quite nice, but let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Just seeing if it will actually move south. Okay, it's been a slow old process. We're working back towards the prior lows here. I will move the stop down now. If this was to reverse from where it sits, and break this high, well, chances are it'll have put a higher low in and it'll be off to the races. So at this point here, I'm looking at just reducing my risk a little bit on this trade. Now it hasn't got a long way to go from where it is at the moment, but so as I say, just going to move the stop down to 23.33 ish. Okay, within a few seconds of that, I've just been closed out. Limits orders hit at 123 here. I'm out of the trade, so it's only a 20 pipper for the morning, but I should now sit and wait and see if anything else sets itself. It may continue through. Was looking this. There is potential that this will ride through. I was looking more at the bigger picture here and whether it will ride on down here. I've become a little bit protective maybe, and you've got to be careful you don't become so protective of the price action and lose out on opportunity. But it's that sort of balance between reading the market and what it's doing. We may get a reasonable bounce off where we're seeing at the moment. It's the probability is pretty good at around these levels of seeing some support. It's around that whole number of 123. So I'm just leaving it there and taking what I've got there. So but as I say, you've got to be a bit careful that you don't just snatch at things. But ideally I would have been in this a lot earlier this morning, but I don't take trades on this market before 8 o'clock, and that's about 6:30 it broke the real level there, which would have given us the target back to this 123 area. You see there's support coming in horizontally across there. Also looking down at the order book here, and I just flash this up a little bit in terms of where I looked at this earlier on. We've taken out all those stops there. There are some sell stops, may still be backfilled here. I'll have a look. I haven't refreshed it in the last hour or so, but it may run down a little bit back to that 96 area. It may continue, but it's a probability trade I'm really taking back to the daily S1. That's what I like to trade, is the probability, and there we are, we've done that. So that's pretty much it for this morning's trading. I would think at the moment I will look around elsewhere. I can see some strength coming through on the dollar yen. In fact, I will share that with what I'm looking at there. But I found the dollar yen quite a difficult read, and you can see it's been very, very choppy. It's tightened and it's tightened. Now there is the potential that will break the trend here. That this is a 30-minute chart I'd like to trade from. You can see this 30-minute 50 still facing south, and to me it looks like, well, there's still that potential for this to roll to the south side here. But all the same, it's looking through yesterday's price action. Yesterday's price action, it was running quite nicely in the morning. They're good trend. Again, it was coming out of one of these moves of breaking down, working off nicely in the morning, retrace, sold off, but then that huge news spike effectively. We might get a similar sort of setup this morning. I'll have a look, but it'll have to be triggering before 10 o'clock for me to be keen. Otherwise we'll look again this afternoon. So that's where I'm pausing my morning trading for now. Actually, we just having a conversation in the room about this, whether this should be. I mean, I just literally set a limit order, and it just closed the position off there. Now, which is fine. Just to explain that these pivots, I know some people don't like them, but I do like them because you can measure probability pretty well from them, because they're there from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. I'm not going to go through pivots at the moment, but I know there's a good probability of either the R1 or the S1 being hit each day, so if it's sitting in a bit of a trend and running towards it, it makes a good target. But the question is whether we could get more out of this, and we just sort of I think the best case scenario, if I hadn't been lazy and just popped the limit order on for the whole position, I would have left a fifth of the position to see if it went further. I'm still pretty adamant in terms of when you look back across the time frames. I'm on a 30-minute here. If I just switch this to a 60-minute chart, if you look across here, if I can get the line to reappear, there we go. If you look across, it had around this area, it had numerous support levels, resistance points originally, support here, which may have, I mean, it's only a sort of the first tap, so there's these support areas. However, that's not to take away the potential for it to roll down to these other levels. And when I look at it on the 40-minute 4 hourly, it still looks like it's got that potential to roll down there. But it's always that question of whether you hold something for the bigger target, whether you take it all out, close it, and take what's there on the statistical trade, or, as I say, if I hadn't had it all closed out, I would have left a bit running here personally, but I wouldn't like to or attempt to trade the whole part down there, because if it bounces from where it is here, I've just left myself with nothing, or potentially I've just left myself short of something. But it's probability, I think, will play best for me on this particular occasion. But as I say, visually, when you're looking at this, it does look like it could be continue over. I will play the other side of this. If this was the end of the trend back here, and we're seeing a first wave here coming to the second wave, where we could soon be seeing a third wave that pushes and doesn't necessarily have to come all the way back to the support levels here. Just a thought. So we'll see how this pans out. I'm going to leave this rolling out this morning, and we'll see, did we take it too early, or were we about right? Okay, just looking back at this pound, so we would have pretty much been stopped out on this pound. Just looking at it, if we'd stayed in any percent part of it, coming out where we did, just around about that daily S1 area, seemed to have done us well this morning. But as I said, it was purely on that probability that I was trading it down to it, which it touched. That's fine. Where to now? It's erring towards that sort of bullishness coming through here. Possibly, if it gets back above the monthly pivot, it becomes it gives us a higher low. But it has, for the last hour or so, been consolidating. In fact, if we look at it on the hourly, it's better. Or 30-minute. In fact, I'm going to look at it on the hourly, but you can just see those doji sort of bars on the 30 minutes consolidating. It has put a bullish pivot swing on here. It, as I say, triggers through that monthly pivot. Well, then it's got back into more bullish territory. The only thing to bear in mind here is that trend line that sort of runs across there. We have had a reaction off that 60-minute 50, but it's then gone from that reactive movement back up. But it might react off the lower side of that trend line, so may not all be done yet. So that's doing what it's doing at the moment. So, as I say, best thing that we did was to take profits on this particular occasion. So for the day trading video, it's around about 13 minutes. I think I'm going to cut it here. We'll see what comes up through this afternoon. There is a bit of a change of near-term trend anyway, short-term trend, so maybe just waiting through these markets to see if anything happens. But I think the lesson today then in this morning's trading was to stick to the rules there. Look at the original targets there. They make sense. A lot of the time price just stays between its R1 S1 area anyway. The volatility at the moment is mixed. In fact, let me just show you the R1 S1 just so you can see what I'm talking about there. I mean, yes, it does fly through it sometimes. Big days when it's trending, news coming out, yep, it'll fire through anything. But yesterday just went up to its R1. Previous days, you see a lot of the time it's between R1s and S1s. So you understand my theory behind that. Okay, that's it for the video. If you want to come and join us in our trading room, we do have a membership scheme. We do have all sorts, any way we can to help you come and join us. So do look at it on the website. I will put a link to our members site. It offers great value to come and join us. So there we are. I will leave you there. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.